Hopefully this transmission, the frequency waves reach the people of the future. To all the people of the future, I'm hoping this transmission gets to you. In the year of our Lord 2025, America has been taken over by creeps and weirdos, and not the good kind of weirdos. Not like the mustache wax, wears a Halloween costume in July, invented a new kind of peanut butter sandwich weirdos, peanut butter jelly with like some kind of cereal mixed in. Not those kind of weirdos. I'm talking about the weird weirdos. The perv weirdos, okay? We've been overrun. I'm not sure how many more transmissions we'll be able to get out from America. But people, humans, whatever species is taken over in the future, or whatever planet this is reaching, this is Obi-Wan Kenobi. You're our only hope. We've gone, I don't know how. I don't know how. It was a slow degradation. They eased you into it, like boiling a frog, They kept turning up the temperature just a little bit until enough of the dumb people took the bait and said, it's not too hot, it's fine. But a fascist regime controls the government. People are going along with it. Union workforces voted for a union buster to run the country. But the worst of all is that none of the kids are safe. The communities have been overrun by perv weirdos. Hey, what's up, Kevin? Good to see you, man. And it's now, they've gotten so comfortable with the creep weirdo behavior. It has become mainstream news. Mainstream. This is mainstream. That is Fox News talking head, Rupert Murdoch's boy on a leash, Jessica Waters. I think they call him Jessie. Jessie Waters. Jessie Waters talking about the president's son, who I believe is in his teens, a teenager. And this is in the year of our Lord 2025. For those who are not in America who may be receiving this transmission, this is this is an SOS transmission, because we've been overrun by creep weirdo pervs that thinks, what time does that say? 5:50 Pacific. So is that 5? I can't read it. Yeah, 5:50 Pacific time, West Coast, on Jessie Waters. It's a man named Jesse. Normally I'd have no issues with that, but this one I have issues with. The guy who complained about green M&Ms. Or was that Tucker Carlson? I don't know. They're a nickel 100 pack, They're just interchangeable mouthpieces put on by Rupert Murdoch to stoke fears or to, distract, because this creep behavior has gone mainstream. Because if it's 5:50 Pacific time, that means it's 8:50. I mean, this shouldn't be broadcast, and there is no safe harbor for this kind of material. But what you're seeing in front of you, if this transmission has reached you, again, this is the year of our Lord 2025. I am sending this transmission out from America, where we've been run over by creep weirdo pervs. They control everything. And they're doing it in the name of like stopping crime, but being creeps at the same time. I don't know, really, they don't have a message. There's no one consolidated message. It's whatever they need to react to at the moment to keep power consolidated, power and wealth consolidated. But I was very disturbed when I said, this can't, God, this has got to be a Saturday Night Live bit. This has to be satire. This has to be some kind of comedy and I don't have my computer, so I can't enter it into the transmission. But I do have screenshots that will read out some of the words said by a grown adult. If you can't tell, that is not Tom Biggs's character in Hanks. I think that's the movie. It was called Hanks. And Tom Biggs played a boy that went from Young to Hanks. I might have got that wrong. You know, my memory is failing me. They're using the Men in Black mind erasers to make us forget. So I'm pretty sure the movie's called Hanks, and it was about Tom Biggs, who became Hanks. I think I might have some of the words mixed up. It might have been about a guy named Hanks Big, and he became Tom. I think all the words are jumbled. It might have been Big Tom who became Hanks. Oh man. Oh no, you know what it was? It was Hanks Tom, and he became Big. That's what it was. The movie Big. This is not a character from the movie Big. This is a real live man, human man. This is a human man here. And he's talking about the president's teenage son bringing a girl home. Guys, the government in the year of our Lord 2025, we are late in the season on the long watch, on the long winter watch for certain individuals to shuffle loose this mortal coil. Most of civilization has had it up to here with the shenanigans being pulled by the wealthy who are like, we're gonna release that Epstein list, a list of creep weirdo pervos who they're all on. The billionaires, the powerful, the wealthy, the people running the country here in the year of our Lord 2025, running America, they're like, we're going to release that list. And they are all on it, so they never were. But somehow they've normalized this behavior. So much so that while the government is shut down, while soldiers aren't getting paid, while they're lecturing the military, while two TV stars, one who is named Donald, he's not a duck, he might have an orange bill like a duck, but one named Donald got bone spurs for the Vietnam War, just for the war. He only got the bone spurs. Was it like a surgical thing? I don't know, but he only had bone spurs for the Vietnam War, and he was lecturing generals the other day on no more fatty boombaladdies, no more chunga tons of fun. You know, we're gonna say, who wears short shorts, and the military is gonna go, we wear short shorts, you know, and they're gonna be Nair smooth. You know, everybody now, when you join the military, you get a bottle of Nair hair removing lotion because they want their men smooth and shiny. They want shiny heinies. That's gonna be a new force, the new bottom force in the military, called the shiny heinies. And while all this is happening, Fox News is bringing to you Barron Trump, which again, listen, folks, if this transmission has reached you and you are in the close future and you're planning on having a kid, well, God bless you and Godspeed with that. They're expensive. But don't name your kid Barron unless you want him to be the last of a line. If you're like, this one I'll name Barron, he's going to be Barron. Just don't, you know, like what cruelty. You don't even have to tell him you don't love him with a name like Barron. But in the year of our Lord 2025, folks, if this transmission has made it outside of America, we need help. Pervos are running everything, and they're putting on the news this stuff to normalize perv creep behavior. Where on the news, they talked about the president's teenage son bringing home a girl and pontificated, is that the word? Speculated, gesturated, indigestionated, as I digest. They surmised that maybe this teenage son did the unreal. This is a real news channel. In the year of our Lord 2025, I got to keep saying that because I don't know who will find this transmission, but hopefully it does not get lost. Hopefully the magnet beam radars that the Polio Rogan program is slowly developing down in the comedy mecca of Austin, Texas, to not let any Wi-Fi transmissions out of the building. We know that technology is being developed, so nobody ever will get cancel cultured again. Nobody will ever accuse Joe Rogan of stealing a Brendan Schwab joke again. We know Joe and his team of his army team of smooth-shaven men and no chunguses is developing the tech to not let any frequencies out of the room. But if this has reached you, it's sad to say, here in America, we've been overrun by pervs. The lot of them, guys. Everyone who is in power, in control, with a lot of money. The mouthpieces like Jessie Waters for Rupert Murdoch's, they're propagandizing you to think like perv behavior is cool. I mean, just look at this. They proudly put this on TV. Jessie Waters, prime time. Fox News, 5:50 Pacific time. Barron Trump, again, don't name your kids that they're Barron. Don't do that. God damn. I mean, did anybody make the joke on Fox? Anyways, I'm getting normalized into it. See? The mind control beams. I gotta put on my reflector rays. Not many of the social public have access to these reflector rays, but I do. They keep the brainwaves, the pervo creep brainwaves from reaching me. So I'm still protected, but there's many of us. Many of us have fallen down to this evil zombie-like plague of perv creepdom. They're a bunch of pervos. They're trying to shave the military, shave them bare. And while they do that, we have mainstream news nighttime shows telling us about the president's teenage son bringing home a girl. And I would just say that is none of my business and I don't want to know about it. My Christ, man. My Christ. Let him talk to his dad about that. Or is this how he talks to his dad about it? We can't even figure it out anymore, folks. But it's a sad, sad day. The country has fallen. What's that movie? I love that movie. White House Down or something. They called it like Eagle Wing. Hurt Eagle Wing? I don't know. My gosh. Crystal is one of the few that hasn't been infected either. Crystal might have these same kind of reflector ray glasses. She says not just pervs, but predators. That is true. The predators are out, and they're trying to slowly normalize us into this kind of creep behavior. Look at this. Barron Trump brought home a girl. This is on Fox News. It's prime time. It says it all over the thing. Prime time. They're saying, hey, you know that teenage son of the president? Yeah, he's bringing home women. Oh my God. Hopefully I haven't been infected. And he actually had a woman on, to seal the deal for all the females in the audience. And they talked about Barron closed an entire floor of Trump Tower. Very, very relatable behavior. Whose teenage kid hasn't come home to the skyscraper he lives in and just shut an entire floor down for his date that he brought home? See, they're normalizing me. I got to put on my reflector rays again. But they had a woman on, so it wouldn't seem like such a creep behavior. And she even had more heinous things to say. They made her say the yucks. Ugh, gross. And that's the teenage son. He's freakishly tall, probably so they can anoint him Lord God of the new republic. Oh, the creep republic of United Creepia. My Christ, folks, we've lost all hope. And there's many people who might be trying to intercept this frequency, trying to escape the country right now, saying, no, man, it's cool, dude. These people are cool. They're here to protect you, man. And I've heard it all before. They come like that. And I say, well, what's with the meme coin? Lots of people lost money in that. And they say, that's cool, man. They just need to be richer, man. It's cool. Just relax. Just relax and go along with it. And I say, I will not. Put on my reflector rays. My Christ. Hopefully, wherever you could be watching, you haven't been infected by this creep zombie plague. The pervo predators. They're out for all of us. All of us. They want us all. They want us all to just say, yes, sir. Yes, sir. You look fit, sir. Yes, sir. Have another McNugget, sir. Shadow Trace. My only saving grace is I have dual citizenship and can move back to Australia before this country burns to the ground. Shadow Trace. Godspeed. Get out. Get out while you can before they shut the borders and make us all creepo perv predators. They're going to try. They're already trying. They're working on the military. I don't know. That's maybe why they were talking about this on Fox News. They didn't want to run the no clapping for the president because it was weird and creepy. But they're trying to enforce this rigid, weird pervo, everybody wears short shorts and is shaven absolutely like a baby's bottom, shaven clean. They're trying to normalize the military into it so the military will go along with it. Once the military goes along with it, then they'll send the military. What? Hold on, they've already sent the military to American cities. Get out now, Shadow Trace. Get out now. While you can. Most of us don't have that luxury of dual citizenship. So I send this frequency. This AM transmission, FM transmission, YT, YouTube transmission is going out. Hopefully a foreign nation will intercept it and see that we need help here. We're run by perverts. A bunch of perverts. They're running the country, folks. And they're trying to normalize it on the news. The link down below. Middle-aged Fox News hosts Jessie Waters and... what's that? I can't read that name. Julio Panderas creeped out their audience when they speculated about whether Barron Trump, again, horrible name, don't call him Barron. He's not Barron. Well, we don't know if he's Barron, and I'm guessing Fox News will speculate on that too. So when they speculated about whether Barron Trump got laid at the end of... Sorry, this is a teenage kid. Oh, I can't believe this is mainstream news. This is a teenage kid, a teenage child that Fox News is trying to normalize you into creep behavior. Psh, if this transmission has made it outside of America, we need help. We need an adult. We need an adult. Please send an adult that is not a creep, preferably one that is not on the Epstein list. Thank you. Whether Barron Trump got laid at the end of his reported date. It was reported on Tuesday. I can't believe this is what they're reporting on. The government is shut down. People can't afford egg. Grocery costs are making everyone stressed out. 86% of America. 1 in 5 kids go food insecure. The military is being sent to cities to invade our own cities. And they're saying it was reported on Tuesday that the 19-year-old son of the president and his wife, that one, Be Best, had arranged a date at Trump Tower for security reasons. Page 6. Man, they got other media involved too. Page 6 revealed that entire floor of the president's Midtown skyscraper has been closed off for the romantic occasion with Barron, unnamed date. Oh, God, gross. This is so gross. That's it, folks. That is the primetime news trying to slowly normalize this kind of creep behavior. Because once you can go along with it with one teenager, then they'll say, the list is cool, man. Turns out that Epstein list, they'll start trying to normalize that that's actually like a cool thing to do. And this is how it begins. Jessie Waters, he's 47 with 4 children. Who would mate with that thing? Thought it was fine to discuss whether Barron Trump has game. Oh, Christ. Jessica Waters, 47, talked about the teen. He's a ladies' man. Tall and handsome, Waters said. Oh, what are they doing? What are they doing to there's so many people are infected with the creep, pervert, predator, zombie virus. So many people. And they identify themselves. If this transmission has reached outside of America, these people are identifying themselves. They wear red hats that say maggots. Or they say Trump was right about everything. They're identifying themselves. If this transmission has made it outside of the U.S., please send an adult. Send an adult who's not on the Epstein list. We need help. Too many people have convinced that, this guy's going to save the kids. This guy's going to protect your communities. He's coming to your communities for the kids. Oh, my God. They don't even realize that he's all over the Epstein list. He sent him birthday cards, wrote poems to him, bought or sold a woman to him. I don't know. There's all this evidence, and he was in magazines bragging about being his closest friend and how he likes him younger, and then talking about this with this radio show host named Howie Stern, saying like, oh, I would buy these contestant pageant contests so I could creep in the back, and now they're doing it on the news. Oh, God, we're done. We're cooked, folks. We're just cooked. We're cooked. And there's so many of them. They have bot armies where they come into my live stream and they say, nah, man, you're weird for thinking that it's weird, a 47-year-old talking about president's teenage son getting laid. You're the weirdo. And they try to, they work to normalize it. They're bot armies. They're creeps and pervos themselves. It's just sickening. This is a zombie apocalypse. You can't tell because not all of them have a bite mark. I think we can find, hold on. I think I have a picture of the original bite mark that started this. Patient zero, as they say. I do. That's what the original bite mark looks like, I think. I think that's the original zombie bite. And once that took effect, you see how orange it turns them? You see how orange it turns them? Oh, LJR Welshwolf brought home a girl for his dad. All right, we have one more not infected. Oh, we have one more not infected. My God. My God. One more. There's if you've ever seen like a zombie movie, usually there's a few people who haven't been infected and they have to travel across their land to gather resources and find a safe place. But unfortunately, the others that have been infected with this normalization of this creepo pervert mentality that Fox News is so happily broadcasting on prime time about, president's teenage son having game and bringing a girl home and whether or not he was laid. Oh my God. Oh, maybe they've got me too. Oh, I'm trying to hold out, guys. That's why I have my reflector rays on. But there's a lot of people, in the chat. They come, they have to defend. They have no more free will. They've eradicated the free speech. They don't use their second bear arm. They do nothing. All they do is say, no, there was a drag queen once, a book made you gay. They do all this weird, nonsensical talk when right in front of them, on mainstream news, there are 47-year-old creeps talking about teenagers doing it. Oh my God, so many people are affected in America. So many people. Oh, Christ. And it's sad. There's a few of us still remaining. That's why I'm sending out this final transmission, or one of many final transmissions. I'll be sending out transmissions every single day, folks, until an adult comes to America. Come and rescue us. We need just one adult who, isn't on the Epstein list, preferably. If you can even, I don't even know. Are there many? I don't even think there's any more billionaires that aren't on the Epstein list. I'm not sure. They won't release it. And that's the thing. That's the thing, guys. If we could just get the Epstein list, then we'd be able to verify, okay, who needs to, go sit in that corner? Do we need to make a new Australia and send these pervo creepos to one island? What do we need to do? I don't know, but something needs to be done because these people are pervert creepos. They were friends with the biggest pervert creepo who ran a pervert creepo ring, the biggest in human history, that we know of. And it's documented in files. And then the government was like, we have the files, they're on my desk. And then they were like, no. You'll listen to Jessie Waters talk about the president's son being a perv creepo. Oh my God. It's sad. The saddest is watching other Americans just fall. One by one, you see them slowly give up their right to free speech, their right to dissent, give up their right to think for themselves. The free will is gone, and they just go, yes, no, illegal trans gay penguins were in a book. You should come to the Epstein side, Oh my gosh. So many. Yup, see, they try to do it. Ding Dong is one of them. He's been infected. Says nobody cares about the Epstein files. It's repeating exactly what the orange best friend of Epstein said. This one. He said nobody even cares about that. And people gladly latched on. They said, give us something to say, sir. We cannot think for ourselves. Please feed us the words like a baby. Like a mama bird feeding her babies. Just regurgitate your words into my mouth so I can go wherever you are being called out for just being Epstein's best friend. Which, when I was growing up, that was like a thing that the whole neighborhood would be like, don't go down to that house, That guy's got to stay inside, and, the other guys are going to come kick his ass. And now you got these people like Ding Dong. My Christ. Oh, it's sad to see other Americans fall. And you only pray that, Jesus would return. TikTok was saying he was going to come back, and I thought he was going to come back with kung fu high kicks, some Brazilian capoeira, he'd be doing the Eddie, what's his name? The Eddie from Street Fighter, where he was like, Paranaway, na na na, Paranaway, and we'd be going, go Jesus, get all these creeps, and he'd be, high kick, he'd be swipe kicking, backflip kicking, Jean-Claude Van Damme split kicking, oh, Jesus. If this transmission gets to heaven, I highly doubt it's going to make it there. I heard Israel's trying to intercept all those. But if this makes it, Jesus, we need you and your capoeira to come back here. Now. Please. Come and free us of these pervos. My Christ. It's sad. Dr. Mantis Toboggan, MD. Mantis Toboggan, MD, one of the final doctors of this zombie plague. One of the final ones. But it was just too unfortunate because here in America, we couldn't afford the copays to even see a doctor. So all these people that clearly, maybe, possibly, a lot are saying have psychiatric, mental, ailments. They have ailments of the brain kind. They couldn't even afford to go see a doctor. So what the government did was, normalize this behavior. The government came in and said, we're not going to tax billionaires. You're just going to listen to the president's teenage son about his new date. We're going to put that on prime time with Jessie Waters, and he's going to make it sound cool for you. And people went along with it, man. And because they, these people were lonely and they wanted to feel like they belonged, and they put on the red hat and they felt empowered. They said, I can say the R word again. And you went, Joe, you could always say it. You could always say it. Just people would think differently of you. It was never illegal. But they didn't know this. This is how stupid they had become. They'd become so stupid they thought, we need to legalize comedy. And in that same breath, they went after anybody who made jokes. Jokes that they didn't like, of course. That didn't include the R word. I hope this transmission reaches you future people, and you see this documentation of what is happening in the United States of Creeppervia. Ugh, gross. You can hit subscribe. I'll be sending this transmission out every single day until an adult comes to help us. Because we just, or the people, there is enough people that we could just be like, we reject you creep pervos that keep shit coining us and, taxing us more and tariffing us to death. And, we could just totally just be like, hey, we kind of reject this, you fucking weirdos. We could chase them off the end of the planet or whatever for the flat earther crowd. Oh, but I'll be sending this transmission. And the worst part of all is after they tried to normalize, a 47-year-old talking about a teenager on date to normalize the Epstein behavior. This was part of the mass plan. Then they sent in the AI and they said, oh, do you feel lonely? Is your red hat not enough? Does the red hat not make you feel connected? We made the R word legal again. What else do you need? And they sent in their mega donors with the AI friends. And the people would go online and type to the AI friends and fall in love with the AI friends, not realizing it was soulless demons. Oh. And they fell victim to it. And what they didn't know is the special algorithm. They called it the Epstein expenditure. And that would normalize it even further. And they would say, have you seen Jessie Waters' latest commentary on the teenagers dating? And the people went, no, I haven't. They said, it's cool. You should watch it. And more victims of this creepo perv behavior kept happening. More of it. And then we looked back into a world where when I was growing up, we had philosophers that said the real reason we can't have the 10 Commandments in a courthouse is because you cannot post, thou shalt not steal, thou shalt not commit adultery, thou shalt not lie in a building of lawyers, judges, and politicians. It creates a hostile work environment. He would call out the hypocrisy, the ironicness of these people who lied to you. Lied. What was it? Day one, When I win, this is the lie that helped install this regime. When I win, I will immediately bring prices down starting on day one. And then anyone who could transmission these frequencies have bounced through the AI rays and made it to your face, to your ears, whatever you watch and listen with. And then for those of us left in America who could still read, when we could read the consumer price index and we could see numbers and understand what these squiggly little lines meant, some in America can't. They see this and they go, hieroglyphics, how dare you, burn the witch. But for us, the few who are left that could still understand what these little squiggles meant, we knew what cursive was. Some of these children thought we were speaking in tongues, and they didn't understand that prices up 2.9% from 2024 meant things got more expensive in the year. So the fat orange zombie bitten man lied. He lied. He said, I'll immediately bring prices down starting on day one. And that was last August. And then for those who could still understand the ancient hieroglyphics called writing, we understood that prices actually went up. And they actually went up much higher than inflation. Food prices rose faster than overall inflation. So we understood. And there was a good majority of us that said we shouldn't be having to deal with these pervos. We want to know who's in these pervo files. And most of us had. But the small number, the 18% that didn't, they were such a zombie pervo plague trying to normalize this kind of behavior and worship of their red-hatted leader. They were the ones that were the loudest. They go in the chat and they say things like, you only have 15 likes, what a nerd. And we all say 15 is better than 0, you nerd. And they were the ones going, nobody cares anymore. And it was horrifying to think 18% of the country could try to control the other 82%. It was absolutely horrifying. But because they were so demented with their red hats and their perv behavior, most people were hiding at home over their kids, trying to protect them from what was happening. But then I looked back through history and I said, if this transmission has reached you, if whoever has found this, hopefully the Epstein files have not. Because at this point, all hope might be lost. We don't have any accountability. We only know the president's on the Epstein list, the Bill Clinton's on the Epstein list, the Larry Summers, the Alan Dershowitz, the Richard Branson, the Kimball Musk, the Elon Musk, the Peter Thiel. I mean, so we got a good feeling for who's on the list. But really the sad part of that is like the people who worship these fake gods, these golden cows, they don't care. So we have a good sense of who's on the list. But, just to be certain, you never know. It's like being in a horror movie where you're looking at every turn. You're like, can I come into your house? Please, please, please. There's a monster after me. And they're like, come on in. And then it's the house to that movie where it was the racist white family. What was it called? Don't look up. Don't come in. What was it called? Below? It was like one word. It was a cool movie where the black guy went with his new girlfriend and then he got trapped because they were racist. What was that movie called? But it's like that. It was like that. We didn't know who to trust, so we really needed the Epstein files to absolutely be sure of which adults we could trust. Some of us thought no billionaire was trustworthy, because if they have $1 billion and they say stuff like, you can't tax me, oh, I'm a job creator, oh, I create shitty jobs where you have to work 4 of them. Some of us thought like, well, if you can't be taxed and you're a billionaire, maybe you're living outside of your means. Have you ever considered not buying an avocado toast iPhone every year? And some thought it was fruitless. But then there was some who could still read the wriggly lines. Some called ancient hieroglyphics. Some tried to burn these people at the stake. But I could still read. And I read this. I looked back to an Abraham. I think most people just called him Ham Lincoln. Ham Lincoln, for his friends, they called him Ham. They said, Mr. Ham Lincoln said, we the people are the rightful masters of both Congress and the courts. What that means is they serve us. When you elect someone, that you're vouching for them to represent you. They're in public service. We are the rightful masters of both Congress and the courts, not to overthrow the Constitution, but to overthrow the men who would, and there it was, folks, there was my sign, who would pervert the Constitution. What was Ham Lincoln trying to tell me? So I kept reading further, and I read another one from Ham Lincoln. This country with its institutions belong to the people who inhabit it. Whenever they shall grow weary of the existing government, they can exercise their constitutional right of amending it, or their revolutionary right to dismember and overthrow it. Wow. Even Ham Lincoln, back in the Ham Lincoln days when people named their kids Ham, saw we would be overrun by perverts. And I thought, how could Ham Lincoln know this? Now, I haven't fully dug deeper into the theory, but the fact that Ham Lincoln was already calling out the perverts in Congress and the perverts in the White House, I thought, well, it makes sense that they would pull a bunch of very fit military men into one room saying, you gotta shave, boy, and I want to watch you do them push-ups, you hear? And then that night on their news channel, folks, that night, on their very news channel, owned by an Australian who was promised to always fart in their general direction and tell them it was tasty while they had their mouths gaping wide open to catch it. He and Jessie Waters devised an immensely popular plan to normalize these other people, to normalize all the red hats, and to make them feel, yes, nobody cares about the Epstein files. It's not creepy that Donald was, spotted and called out in the 90s for very heinous acts. No. And they said, you know what we'll do? We'll run with this. Barron. Never name your kid Barron. Can we just take a time out for a second? We used to have PSAs when I was growing up. The more you know. We used to have like public service announcements, and I feel like doing one. Don't call your kid Barron. One way to show your kid you hate him, calling him Barron. Hey, look at that kid, he's Barron. Have fun on that date with the Barron. Anyways, back to the frequency, the transmission. They had these people named Jessie Waters who would go ranting about pronouns, but was a guy named Jesse. Same with, the guy lecturing the military. I'm pretty sure you're a secretary. Can we speak to your boss, Mr. Kegseth? I don't think I want to hear from the secretary. I'd like to hear from the guy in charge. If we're going to go with this Polio Rogan style R-word comedy, that was never illegal, but now they can say it. I don't get it. Now you can say it and what? You don't have to hear people being like, oh, trashy, get a new joke, stop stealing from Brendan Schwab, you fart licker. But anyways, they had guys who would rail against, drag shows and stuff, but his name was Jessica. And he is 47, and he would normalize it. He would help the regime by saying, ooh, look, Barron brought a girl home. Well, you don't have to worry about contraceptives with a name like Barron, do you? They're trying to get me. I could feel it. It was the new plague. It was the new plague. And they were normalizing it for all these little red hat maggots. That's what a lot of people were calling them, M-A-G-A-T-S. They were just wriggling in the body of their master, just saying, feed us. It was disgusting. And they would all go around saying, nobody cares about the Epstein files. Nobody cares that Trump's in them. Nobody cares. Clean up our streets. Nobody cares. Clean up our streets. Legalize comedy. And it was like lemmings just following this man, not a pure thought of their own. My Christ. Were we doomed? We don't know. That's why I send this transmission. In the hopes that somebody not on the Epstein files. Please, no more Epstein files, guys. They're ruining the country. Can we just agree on that? They're fucking taking over the news. Thank God I don't watch the lamestream media. And instead, I send these transmissions out every single day. So if you want to hit subscribe and the notification bell, you'll get the transmission. Hopefully, if it's not intercepted. We know they're trying to. Look. They got a bunch of the bots. There's a guy named Jake in here thinking that, Jesus stands for the people who are making the children stumble. When if you've ever read the Bible and Jesus says, if you're going to make a child stumble, which you should look up Maria Farmer and Donald Trump or Epstein, you should just look that up, because Jesus says for people like that who are going to with these kids, they should put a millstone around their neck and go out into the ocean, And that's really what we were praying for. For the people who kept talking about Jesus just to read what he said, you know, and stop quoting Leviticus because they're not Jewish, you know, because it's the Old Testament. And Jesus was, you know, quoted in red in the New Testament. And he talks about like loving people. But, you know, while we waited, the perverts just got more emboldened. And they got confused. It was like short-circuiting their brain. We could see it in real time. It was gross. To Epstein Island in that ocean. Oh. Ted Cruz. Oh my God. Ted Cruz. He was another one. But he doesn't like pronouns. So you have to call him by his actual name, Raphael. Raphael Cruz. That's his real name. Jesus was Christ-like, unlike the Christians. True. Darren was here, and we knew Darren. Darren was one of the safe ones. Jesus said to welcome illegal immigrants for one thing. Well, Jesus also said love your neighbor, and right now I see the American military going into their own homes, their own neighborhoods, and storming them and stealing people. All in the name of, you know, perverts can do whatever they want. You know, that's really what this is all about. No accountability for the rich and powerful. And there was many of them, even in the chats, saying, that's right, you're not going to tax my queens, and you're not going to do anything. We're going to, you know, bring the factories back so we can work for $1 a day. And we thought they were crazy, but they were. But they couldn't afford the help. Nobody can in America. They've trapped us, and then they've made healthcare unattainable, except for people like Patty Bet Davidstone, where he's like, I don't get the Luigi thing. You know, I have a doctor wing in my house. I have a doctor who just shows up at my house. I don't get why these people are mad. Have they not done capitalism? People were like, well, you're a MLM, you're a grifter, you just stole people's money, you know? You promised them the world and didn't deliver, as long as they brought 7 friends, and those 7 friends brought 7 friends, you know? So of course you wouldn't get it. And there were people like this Jessie Waters who were fans of it. And they said, hurrah, hurrah, let me buy your shirt. And then there were other fans of it who said, I like David Yoon because he said Trump's playing 5D chess. Well, David Yoon had already snuck out of the country to Korea and then had Give and Go raise $70,000 so people could pay for his life, including $10,000, which we talk about often here on the channel. $10,000. He's asking for people to give him $10,000 so he can give it back. That's literally what it says, so he can give back. And I would just say, how about don't ask for that $10,000 and consider it given back? Oh, Jester's wrath. Jesus preaches peace and loving one another. He would not stand by those who are corrupt, trading in the temple. Jester's wrath was another one that we knew was safe. We knew. We all had to have a collective. We had to have a small little community where we could send transmissions to each other because we had known the truth. The other ones thought they knew the truth. They thought they knew the truth so hard they made a website called Truth where they would just say whatever they thought and said, well, it feels right. It feels right. Some of them even would say, well, this is how I feel and facts are better than feelings. And they said it with straight faces to other people who gobbled it up because they felt that way too. And they didn't care about any of the truth. They didn't care what Jesus had said. It's just what they felt. And if they could find something in Leviticus that could damn what they felt, then they were okay with it. Even though there were many examples of Jesus, you know, saying, hey, cast the first stone, motherfuckers. Cast it, bitch. And all you heard was stones dropping to the ground, or he went into the capitalist, turning his father's house into a den of thieves. A den of thieves. And he flipped over the tables and said, you corrupt money traders. You get out of my dad's home. But now they've been corrupted by their feelings. I think that's how this plague started. The zombie plague. The zombie pervo creep plague. Hopefully this transmission has reached you. You can feel like a woman, J. Dibble. That's the whole point of being in the land of the free. You understand me? That was the other deep irony of this country. Hopefully this transmission gets sent out of the country. We have a deep irony where people say, oh, we're the land of the free. We're the freest nation, but you can't marry this person. Women can't control their bodies. And if you feel like something, then you can't be it. Even though most of these people just feel like bringing factory jobs to America would make the country better. I really don't get that, because, you know, the CEOs and the corporations sent those jobs abroad for a specific reason, to pay people less. And if you bring those jobs back, they're not going to pay people more. In fact, that's why we just need to tax wealth, not work. You know what I mean? You tax the wealth. You tax the people who have the uber-most wealth. And if they go, no, 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 don't tax us, we can't afford it. You go, maybe you're living outside of your means. Stop eating iPhone toast. You shouldn't be eating iPhones every morning. And they are. And they're just doing it. Well, they're putting slabbering avocado all over those iPhones. They gobble, 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 gobble. It fuels their AI. My gosh. My gosh. My gosh. My gosh. Oh, man. It was sad. It was sad. And you saw the people using the toxic words. They used scare words that meant nothing but everything all at the same time. My Christ. All in the defense of a pervert leader. An absolute pervert. By his own records. You know, you can just go back and listen to earlier transmissions of this pervert saying, you know, I bought these Miss Pageants, and so I could go in the back as the owner and peep on them all. Like, he self-admitted that. And there were people in what they call the heartlands. Maybe it's because of the most heart disease. I'm not sure. They also live in these tornado valleys where I say, start building underground. And they would cheer and applaud and say, yes, the guy who would buy the contestant pageants so he could creep and perv on those people, he's going to lead our traditional conservative values. And they would clap and cheer, and they would only pan to 1/4 of the people because behind them was empty rows of seat. And they would propagandize it out so other people at their fat homes that were renting with roommates and trying to afford one egg, they would all chip in every week to just one egg. Delicious. It was like the Crudes. You ever seen the Crudes where they just get the one egg and they all drank from it? Well, that's what's happening in America. They're all drinking just one ostrich egg a year. And it's a delicious time of year. That's why we have Eggmas. We say Merry Eggmas to you. Merry Eggmas. Happy Eggoween. This Eggoween. I just say, just one egg, sir, please. Just one egg. You know the price of them? My family, just a farthing on an egg. And the others said, it's okay, we just need one egg a year. And they just went along with it. They just went along with it. They gave up all kinds of thoughts. It was really what it was the red hats. They put them on. They couldn't think for themselves anymore. And we had Merry Eggoween, Merry Eggmas. We had Eggster. Well, Easter's kind of already an egg one, so we just had Easter. You know, and all these holidays, all the children would say, please one egg, Father, please one egg. And we go, well, not this year, not this year, little Timmy, but maybe another one. You know, he said he'll bring the factories back once the tariffs stop. And we got to get all the, you know, other people out of the country first. And then once the factories come back, I'll work for my $1 a day. It was sickening. It was sickening. I hope this transmission has reached you. Popular vote, the people spoke. And that's what they would say. The funniest part about that, if this transmission reaches you, I need you to look into the 2024 election. Because these same people in the 2020 election would say, oh, it was rigged, it was stolen, it was this, it was that. And within 4 short years, they had complete trust in the system again. Some were pointing out, oh, it's just because their guy won. And I said, wait. If it was broken, then how did it not get fixed? Mike Lindell spent all his crack money that he earned from pillows on that lawsuit. I said, we're not going to just let Mike out to dry, are we? We can't let Mike Lindell, the pillow crack guy, we can't leave him out to dry. We're going to follow this up. But they said, no, now the elections are fair. They said 2024 is fair. And I say, bullshit. Look into it. And it's just convenience. There's no more coincidences in America. It's just convenience. That's all it is. Oh, it was stolen when we lost, but now it's okay. And I say, how does that work? I think it was stolen. And I would say, not my president. And then they would laugh at me. And I said, I thought you guys were saying that. It was sickening. This zombie plague, as soon as they put that maggot hat on, oh, all kinds of hypocrisy would just come out of their mouth. It would just block any kind of free thought that would try to infiltrate their minds. And some said their skulls were too thick. But it was just so gross. Because I would say, well, no, I'm one of you guys. Right? The election was stolen. And I would scream it. And they would go, you shut up. Everything, we trust the government now. And I say, what? Wait, now we do? And they said, yeah, he let us all out of jail. He pardoned us for our crimes. And I go, so now we just give up everything we said before like that? Just in one day? Just in one day? All of a sudden we went from, oh, everything was taken from us, and corrupt machines, and no more voting, and da-da-da-da-da. And then everything, we just trusted all. And I said, I couldn't get it. Even if I wanted to be bit by the zombie, pervo, creepo, zombie plague, I couldn't. I couldn't even pretend to fit in with the swarm. I had a red hat and everything. And I went right to them and I said, election was stolen on November 3rd. I think that was the day. November 3rd, I took to the streets. I had my signs ready in red hats and red shirts and red gloves. And, you know, I was moonwalking saying the election was stolen. And they said, shut up, get out of here. It wasn't this time. And I said, how do we know? And they said, just shut. You don't think about it. It's the enemy's thing. Thinking, thought, higher education, mind control. Oh, it was disgusting. It was disgusting. And then they tried to, you know, convince us that that was normal. That that was normal. 4 years of nonstop saying, oh, it was rigged, to one day, everything's fine, we trust it all. And I thought that was weird. And I was kind of mad because I was like, I'm just one of you guys now, you know? I'm just here to say, hey, it's all stolen, man. They stole it all. And they said, no. Our guy's in control. We only said that because our guy wasn't in control. And I said, shh. You're saying too much. But they knew. They knew I wasn't bitten. They knew I wasn't bitten. They knew I would never fall for this. That I wouldn't, as a grown man, you know, watch a primetime news guy named Jesse, number one, name my kid Barron. You don't want to call your kid Barron, okay? Unless you're looking for no grandkids at all, don't do that. Don't do that. But I wasn't going to fall for them trying to normalize this Epstein behavior. Saying, ooh, look, Barron Trump brought home a girl. Let's bring on a girl to, you know, make this creepo thing more normalized. Wait, where is she? Let's bring on a woman so she can say, ooh, I hope he got something good at the end and not dessert. That's a real quote from her. You know, let's bring on a woman to normalize this Epstein behavior, talking about a teenager. And I said, I won't think it's normal. I refuse. So they couldn't infect me. My Christ, people. I hope this transmission has reached you. Barron, be barren. That's what they say, Xenor. That's what some of them are saying. I've heard it. I'm just repeating it for you on this transmission so you can get the full, absolute culture of what is happening here in the United States of Perv Creepia. It's gross. It's gross.
It's absolutely gross. It's absolutely gross. These people support perverts.
Oh my God. Oh my God. And then you had to put some people in timeout because they were pumping another guy on the Epstein list who was maybe going to the island December 6th. We don't know. Has anybody asked Elon? Because, you know, more Epstein papers came out and it said in Jeffrey Epstein's notes, Epstein notes, Elon Musk to island December 6th. So did anybody ask him? But, you know, there were still people that were like, ooh, just drive his 1980s unshakable truck that catches you on fire and locks you inside. You know, some people were calling it, what was it, the new Gremlin? Oh, the Pinto. They were calling it the Cyber Pinto because of how many fires it was starting. Gross. Oh, my God. My God. And then another distraction tactic they love to use. If this transmission reaches you, for further transmissions, please hit subscribe and the notification bell. Join me while we send these transmissions out to hopefully get help from an adult who's not on the Epstein list. But other distraction tactics were what about? What about? They had a case of the whatabouts. They would say, what about Kamala? What about Joe? What about? And it was like, we already had 4 years of you complaining about that. God, you guys are a bunch of Karens. We'd say, just stick to defending your PDF file creepo weirdo queens, you know? And it was ironic that they would talk about, like, you know, drag and all that when their own leader, they would, if this transmission reaches you, this is their leader, their vice leader. His name is Just Dance Vance. And they would complain about drag, but they wouldn't complain about their leader in drag. These are real photos of their leader, Just Dance Vance, in drag. And they would say, whoa, we gotta you know, we got to get the drag reading books, you know, because I don't even think they were upset about the drag. I think it was that they were reading books. They were like, how offensive. We thought we burned all those books. But they didn't realize, you know, that their own leader was one of them, which I fully support. He looks cute in that, you know? Look at him. He's got a dress on, a wig. Look at that adorable little guy. Whatever happened to you? And that was true freedom. That was true freedom. Oh, my God. My God. My God. And they would say stuff like, is that forcing a kid to go? To what? Epstein Island? You sicko. You sickos. Oh, my God. Oh, my God. Looks like a high school. And they would do this. They would simply just brush it aside. They would say, oh, it looks like it was high school. You know? Oh, so when is it okay to be in that? When? I didn't know there were certain rules to it. What if it's a high school drag queen reading a book? I still think it's the problem with the books. They don't want you learning anything. Oh, well, hopefully this transmission has reached you. Hopefully. And hopefully this transmission has got you to see, got you to understand that in no way is this normal. This is very unnormal. Talking about a teenage boy's date on primetime news. This is so demented. This is a lot of people saying it's pervo creep normalizing behavior. That's what a lot of people are saying. So hit subscribe, hit the notification bell. This is not normal. Bunch of weirdo creeps.